All right, the average U.S. American $1 bill, good old George Washington on it right here, weighs about 1 gram. The average classroom paperclip also weighs about 1 gram. But how much trouble could you get in the United States for selling less than 1 gram of marijuana? Well, in 2008, Derek Harris sold 0.69 grams of marijuana to an undercover police officer. At the time, Harris was an unemployed military veteran. 4 months from then, there was a warrant out for his arrest. In June 26 of 2012, he was actually arrested and sentenced to 15 years in prison. And then, November 15th, 2012, he was then again resentenced to life imprisonment without parole. Unfortunately, Harris is still in there to this day. He served 9 years on his sentence, and hopefully, with how he's looking with his attorney, they do believe he'll be out soon. Unfortunately, that will not make up for the time he has lost. In 2015, he lost his mother and was unable to attend the funeral. The reason I'm talking about this is because I would like to persuade you guys and also push forth the idea of statewide legalization of marijuana. Marijuana has been proven to be medically beneficial as well as economically beneficial. And by the end of this speech today, hopefully I can convince you guys to push yourselves in that direction and help me legalize this drug. Now, before I get too ahead of myself, I understand what you guys are thinking. I understand there are some dangers with this or some questions and concerns. A lot of people are worried about driving impairments that we may experience when legalizing marijuana. Surprisingly, and this information was given to me by the National Center of Biotechnology and Information, surprisingly, most marijuana intoxicated drivers show moderate impairment on road tests. And experienced smokers show little to no functional impairment on the same courses. Okay? The only time impairment is experienced is when alcohol is combined with marijuana. Then the results will show different. All right? There's been a 12% decline in traffic fatalities related to marijuana in states that have legalized marijuana recreationally. Okay? And this 12% is actually in the bracket of 25-year-olds and 44-year-olds, which is also another high percentage bracket of people who own a medical marijuana licensed card. All right? A lot of people worried about medical related emergencies and injuries and things like that. I will say, in Colorado, 30% increase in emergency room visits due to marijuana. Okay? Good thing is, no one has still overdosed off of this drug. Okay, and then we're going to move to smoking is bad. Variety of ways the plant can be consumed. This is one of my favorite topics because that's one of the first things you hear. It's very cliche, a high motif of people think, that's the only way you can indulge in getting the benefits of this drug, and that is not the case. It actually comes in lotions, oils, candy, soda. You could probably mix it in a steak. I've seen it done before. But there's a variety of ways, so you do not have to smoke to indulge in this drug, okay? Now we're actually going to move on to see how marijuana has benefited the economy in Colorado. So we'll go ahead and do that. Colorado actually generated $135.1 million in marijuana revenue, taxes, and fees in 2015. By 2013 and in between 2014, the largest drop in unemployment was seen in Colorado. Outside visitors made up for 44.5% of retail sales in Denver in 2015. And then as well as in 2015, Colorado welcomed a record 77.7 million visitors. Those million visitors actually spent $19.1 billion altogether. This is a 30% increase in visitors and a 14% increase in the money they spent from 2015 to 2012. This information was displayed to me through MPP, which is my project policy, or marijuana project policy, my apologies. And they are actually the largest organization working on solely marijuana policy reform in the United States. Okay? So now we'll go over to see how marijuana can be helpful medically. The CDC says 50 million Americans annually suffer from chronic pain. Chronic illness does affect everybody, although the older you are, the more of a chance you have of getting a chronic illness, and actually 65-year-olds are more susceptible to not only having one chronic illness, but multiple. In a recent survey, more than 100 people who regularly use marijuana who also have sclerosis were given marijuana and they tested them. They wanted to see what the results were. And almost everybody came back and said that they were feeling better and that marijuana had treated their pain. And this information was also found on the National Biotechnology Information Center. Okay. So another very interesting thing I found was actually you can take marijuana in the place of Aleve and Advil. And this actually hits home for me because I've suffered from an ulcer. And with an ulcer, you can't really take Tylenol and Aleve. It will mess up your stomach. Advil as well will mess up your stomach. So if there is a form of an edible you could take that would give you the same pain-reducing qualities and it wouldn't upset your stomach, that's also a very big plus. All right, so that's actually going to wrap up the speech. Hopefully I was able to persuade somebody to help me legalize marijuana, and if not that, at least help you think about it a little bit more, encourage you to go educate yourself. We see how it can be beneficial medically, we see the safeties and the dangers in it, and we also see how it could help the world economically.